Hello, everybody,
What's up,
and
guys?
welcome. My name is Ben, and we're
And,
recording.
and my name is Braden. We're gonna record it now. All right, this
Yeah,
is episode 2 of Bad Movie Reviews, and we review terrible movies,
the
um,
worst
the
movies.
worst movies imaginable. But today's movie isn't completely terrible. There are a couple of redeemable qualities in this film.
I
Uh,
mean, there's one thing that it doesn't get right, and that's basic physics.
oh yeah, but yeah, I mean everything else in this film was fine. We're talking about
Uh,
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The
or the
fourth
plastic
film.
skull, depending on what you really think.
Yeah, depending on what it actually is. Right here is a leaked behind the scenes footage of the film. As we can see, Harrison Ford looks as young as ever, with some blurry guys in the background, and then what appears to be Bucky Barnes on a motorcycle on the left. And you see
That's not Bucky Barnes.
and
That's Henry Jones the Third.
Henry Jones Jr. And right in the background there is Hogwarts Castle.
Wait.
But
Spoiler. That's a spoiler. We just spoiled the movie.
oh yeah, oh rats. Anyway, let's talk about this film. First off, the first thing you'll even notice in the picture here is a crystal. It looks like a crystal skull. Okay. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get an alien crossover? Or is this gonna be like from the movie Alien? Because it kind of looks like a xenomorph. It's not a xenomorph. It's so much worse than a xenomorph. Um,
It's a weird CGI monstrosity.
it's a really bad alien. A really like there's like a old movie. It's not even an old movie.
It looks we can't even. ILM used to be the best place for CGI, and this was an ILM film.
Yeah, this was just a bad CGI film. And it's 2008 too, so they should really like understand how CGI works at this point and start to be making really good strides in CGI.
Jurassic Park looks better.
I would say so. This CGI monster is something I could have created like in like 5 minutes probably. And I don't know anything
Um,
about CGI.
I I think it would have taken you longer than 5 minutes. But we
Um
gotta remember the plastic skeletons.
oh yes. There are plastic skeleton, no, crystal. I meant yeah, no, they're plastic. This film has a budget of, I looked it up because I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's no way this film was a high budget." I think it was like 128 million dollars or something like that. Something around those lines.
Which is a
128 million. Just think about
I've
that.
Get Out had a lower budget and it's way better.
Every film I've ever heard of has lower budgets than, no, I'm just kidding. But a lot of films have lower budgets than that and they are much better. I don't remember how much money um I know the first couple only ran on like 20 million, but it was like 30 years ago. So that makes sense.
Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the first scene of this film.
Is that when they like are racing the cars?
Yeah, that scene.
That seems a little weird. I don't actually
It's
don't
a
even
little
think.
weird. It had no bearing on the plot.
Well, most of this film doesn't have a lot of bearing in the plot. The plot only comes
Um,
together in like the third act, and then at that point you're kind of like, oh, that was the
yeah.
film.
But anyways, the second scene is what I really want to talk about.
Okay.
Um, these military guys come over and like, hey, you're not allowed here. For these like these
He's
cars
like,
that came, and then they salute them, and then we're like, what the heck's going on here? And then just guns and they kill them all.
yeah, and the guy's just
And
like, oh, I gotta tie my shoe real quick, and then just they all just die.
yeah,
Um,
and then turns out they're Russians.
oh yeah. So when I
We go from
first
Germans to Russians.
when I first heard about this film, right? So the original Indiana Jones films all take place in the 30s, and also, in case you didn't know, I've never watched a single Indiana Jones film, so I watched them all this week, and then I watched Crystal Skull today, and all I can say is that this film also for me isn't very good because it's also very repetitive. It is like the all the other films like combined, but not like good. I just mean like they have every single element of all the films. So it
Bad
just kind
parts of
of
the last film, all the last three films come together in this film.
yes, And again, it has a couple of redeemable qualities that are like fine, I guess. But in my opinion, this isn't like this is a movie that like if it's on cable or something, maybe I'll turn it on for a couple minutes and then I'll probably be like, yeah, I didn't really like this film, and then I'll turn it back off. This isn't like a film that you should hate, like completely, utterly hate. It's just not a good film. And you kind of understand, it's a laughable film.
It's a laughable film. You can't have a bad time watching that film.
No, I didn't even have a bad time. I was a little bit bored at some points, but for the most part, I was pretty entertained. It's just that it's...
Okay, but now I need to talk about the first physics problem in this film. The fact that he used gunpowder, metal and gunpowder to traverse them to the metal crate. The magnetic crate. That's fine.
Why was the gunpowder flying?
Oh, because it was magnetic.
But
the thing is magnetic.
Is that normally how if you threw gunpowder on something that was magnetic?
No, it wouldn't. But that's the first physics problem.
That's just flying in the air.
If that skull is so magnetic, it should be dragging stuff in there to it. It should be dragging everything to it. Everything that's metal in there should be dragged closer to it.
Which...
Including the cars.
I mean... But that would hurt the plot.
And then they use crowbars to open it, and then the crowbars get stuck to the metal crate, and they take them off. If it is so magnetic, it'd be almost impossible to take those crowbars off.
Nah, they're just, they're like Superman strength, you know? They just pull them out. Oh my god, we should watch Superman 4 at some point. That'd be so funny.
Anyways. These Russian guys, right? This is like... I don't know how to describe it. She's like... has like a bowl cut.
Yeah, I don't even know what the villain of this film... Like, she did nothing. I don't even remember her name.
Neither do I. She was kind of just there. She just wanted, like, know everything and so that she could control everyone and make them all Russian.
Which doesn't make any sense. That's not even like a decent goal.
She wants to, essentially, make everyone else communist.
Right, but, like... That's
and she thinks that if she returns the crystal skull to its pedestal or whatever it needs to go, she will control the world.
I don't understand how that's even like. I mean, every other film had like a reason. You wanted to get the that Ark, right? That was the first film. The second film,
the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, but the Ark still. And then in the second film, oh god, I don't even remember. What are they trying to get in the second film?
I forget. I think it's like, I don't know. I just remember there's this guy that like took a guy's heart out and then.
Oh yeah, that was a really rude scene. I'm like, hello. That's actually that film, Temple of Doom. I didn't even realize it. Temple of Doom and Gremlins started the PG-13. Like that started and that's why The Last Crusade is PG-13, is because Temple of Doom had to start the PG-13 rating because of how bloody it was. But it also wasn't bloody enough to be rated R, so they ended up making a PG-13 rating, which I think is also a little bit of cool movie history.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I have one more thing to say.
Okay.
Indiana Jones has a pal with him named Mac.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is the biggest dick I've seen in a film.
He's so bad. What is he, like a quadruple double agent?
No.
He's just...
Indiana Jones is just way too trusting.
Okay, but we see that in Last Crusade too, so that's not even like this film's problem. Like, we just see every single film he trusts everyone way too much. Like, in Last Crusade, he was literally told not to trust anybody, and then he, like, sleeps with the first woman he sees. I'm like, oh my god, dude, are you okay? Like, hello? And then, of course, she's, like, a Nazi, because, like, why wouldn't she be? Because you can't trust everyone.
If you trust everybody, that means you... I don't know.
But that's just a character problem. That's not even this film. But yeah, I mean...
Well, but none of the other characters are like, that's weird.
No, and then Mac becomes... Yeah, he says he's a double agent. And then, like, later on, even though it doesn't look like that the end, like, the Russians are gonna win, he's just like, oh yeah, I wasn't actually a double agent. And I'm like, what? So he pretends that he's a double agent. So he's basically just like a weasel, right? He just goes with whatever side is winning, right?
Yeah.
Am I wrong? Because like he totally
he was putting tracking devices down at the end of that film. We got to remember that. That's what he was doing. If you remember, they were doing that weird thing where, whatever. It doesn't really. It's not really important.
I didn't remember that.
Well, whatever. It doesn't not important to the plot.
Like I said before, most of this film doesn't even matter to the plot.
Okay, but the next important thing that happens is Indiana Jones and this weird Russian guy get in a fight, and then they fall onto this, and then they fall into this area where they were testing a vehicle, and the Russian guy then gets thrown into a room where his body slams into something which starts up the process to make a vehicle go fast.
Yeah, there's a lot of unrealistic things in this film.
Which is like, okay, that's okay. I get it. I understand why that happens. But then Indiana Jones and the Russian guy both get stuck going like at least 60 miles an hour with no covering, and they're like experience like at least 5 Gs or something.
And they're just like, oh.
And then Indiana Jones is like, oh no, I have to go. But the Russian guy is like stumbling around like he's half dead. And Indiana Jones is...
Well, because one is the main character and one is a character that doesn't matter. I mean,
okay.
Come on.
But then Indiana Jones has the biggest sin in any... It's not a sin. It makes no sense. So
Okay.
Indiana Jones finds this town. And he's like, finally, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna take a car and leave. Or something. I don't know why he went to the town. So he went there, and then he figures out that it's a nuclear bomb testing site. And so he
climbs into a fridge.
Not just any fridge, a lead-lined fridge. And for some reason, they advertise that on the outside as a lead-lined fridge.
I mean, why not? Free advertising.
So then he hops inside the fridge, and then he gets freaking... So the radiation wouldn't get him because it's lead-lined. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then he gets freaking launched, like, in the end just gets bounced. If the nuke didn't kill him, the freaking drop and bouncing would have. And he gets out of the fridge essentially unscathed. Well,
I mean, do you remember the waterfall scene?
Okay, that seems later on. I'm talking right now. This is Attack of the freaking Physics at this point. I'm tired. And then he. Okay, but then later on, it was revealed that he did get dosed in radiation.
Mm-hmm.
And he's getting washed off by these random guys in hazmat suits, and then the CIA, FBI, whatever they are, and
I believe it was the FBI.
And then they're like, what the heck are you doing? Like, why'd you help them? You gave them an alien. Yeah. and then he's essentially forced to. Then he gets fired
for being held at gunpoint.
Yeah, which again, literally does nothing for the plot. It does nothing.
Right, him getting fired doesn't do anything, and then he leaves. But then some random guy is like, "Hey, yo, this guy is gonna die," and he's like, "This guy." I don't even remember his name. I don't remember who was the guy.
I forget. It's a guy that was literally in none of the other films.
Oxley.
And he's just
Oxley. That's his name.
Yeah, he's just here, and he's like, look, this guy that you haven't seen before in the films, who's a good friend of yours, and he's gonna die, and Indiana Jones is like, I'm listening, and then they go in and they're like, so, what's the problem? And then they have a conversation, which is then interrupted by another fight scene.
Yeah, and they're like, greaser!
And then Indiana Jones goes into a library, and this guy is like, hey, I need some help on this question. He's not even hired anymore, so he should say, my class doesn't exist anymore or something. But no, he just helps the guy, despite the fact that he's not a teacher right now.
He's like, yeah, no, don't worry about it. Get that easy A.
And for some reason, whenever someone asks like a question or like anything that's like has anything remotely to do with archaeology, Indiana Jones for some reason just starts talking about archaeology and stuff and facts like that. He didn't do that in any of the other films. Why is he doing it now?
Because why not? We have to see this human side of Indiana Jones.
And then we meet this like human doormat. I forget his even name. Oh yeah, it's Henry Jones the Third. this human doormat. He's like, his only personality is that he looks eternally confused.
No, he's tough. Don't worry about it. He's just a tough
And
character.
he loves, and he also just likes grooming his hair. He's a greaser. That's what he is. That's a personality trait. He's a greaser.
Yeah, that's a pretty good personality trait, I would say.
And so this guy, right? He Henry Jones III. He's like, okay, I need to talk to you about this thing. But this dude that has never been seen before, is trying to find this lost city of gold.
Mm-hmm.
Which eventually turns out it's not even gold. Like,
yeah, it's just knowledge. Come on.
And
Gold
but
is
anyways,
knowledge.
and then he found this like skull. We're like, oh cool, a skull. And then they're like, okay. And then they go on an adventure together. And they're like, and then they go to like a prison and they find where this guy that we don't see for like another half hour.
Yeah.
Basically wrote return over and over in a bunch of different languages.
Yeah, I mean.
And essentially just went insane. Which again, him going insane. Okay.
It doesn't really do a ton for the plot though, because then what happens is, so he went insane by looking through the eyes of that Lego crystal skull we see right there. But then, later on, right? I believe they get captured or something.
Yeah.
And then they force him to look through that very same eyes so that way he can communicate with Oxley. And Indiana Jones doesn't go insane.
That's later on. We can talk about that later.
But
right
that's
now,
dumb, though, right?
It is dumb. But right now we need to talk about the scene where they find the corpses of a bunch of Spaniards.
I don't even remember. Oh, is that the no?
It's the Conquistador, dude.
Is that the one where they like get jump scared by the people in the skull?
Yeah, and where Indiana Jones freaking blows a dart backwards and it kills him for some reason, despite the fact that a poison dart only has poison on one side.
Hey, don't worry about it. It's plot.
I'm critiquing this film literally on every single thing. But anyways,
I mean, like,
and then they find the corpses.
And then one of them's like just completely like not like, I don't know if this is even possible because one of the corpses is wrapped, right? And like that.
All the corpses were wrapped.
And then
for some reason, Indiana Jones, this archaeologist, decided that he would open up this 500-year relic to see what was inside.
I mean, come on.
He's an archaeologist.
No. Don't preserve things.
And then this guy, he's an obvious like human cast.
Uh-huh.
And then human doormat over there's like, he looks like he just died yesterday. He doesn't.
Yeah, he didn't even look. He looked like he had died at least a couple months ago. And then also like when
he starts disintegrating.
When they open him up, is that even possible? Is that what happens when you open up a corpse that's like preserved?
I don't think so.
It seems a little quick.
But anyways, then they find the dude that they were searching for, this conquistador guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for some reason, so basically, human doormat's like, look at this gold! And then it gets drawn to the crystal skull that's behind the corpse. Why wasn't the gold already drawn to it? We've seen that it can cause metal to go from like halfway across a warehouse to the other. When the gold is literally right next to it, it doesn't. I
mean, again, it's not. It's the problem. The problem with this movie is that it's terribly inconsistent, in both plot and also in the way things work in the universe.
Anyways, then they grab the crystal skull and they're on the way out. But then Mac was with the Mac guy, that double agent, not a double agent guy, was following them from the very beginning. And then for some reason he found them. We don't know why.
Yeah, they just
we
slowed
don't know
down.
how. He was literally just there.
They stopped for a bathroom break.
I don't know. Maybe Indiana Jones left his map in his office and they figured out where he was going. Like he voted it. Hey dudes, I'm going to Peru or something.
Yeah, come find me. Come on.
And then anyways, then they get captured.
Yeah.
And this is where Indiana Jones is forced to look into the eyes of the crystal skull that made another guy go insane, but not him.
Yeah, that was dumb. That was dumb.
Plot immunity, I gotta tell you. Plot immunity.
Here's the thing about the whole thing. I really thought that somehow, and I don't know why I thought it, I'm like, they have to be doing a Xenomorph crossover. This has to be an alien film in disguise. I must have been fooled my entire life, and it must be an alien film, because it looks so much like a Xenomorph. I mean, okay, look at the photo. Alright, this is a Xenomorph, right here, and yes, it looks scary, I guess, but it looks like the same photo. Let's go to the... Look.
It looks like well, if you had an actual picture of the crystal skull from the film, it would look a lot more like it, but like... Come on.
It's the same thing.
I mean, it has a bit more elongated of a skull. That's the thing.
Alright, I guess. But a baby it's a baby Xenomorph.
And, okay, but then we get disappointed at the end of the film.
But it's not a Xenomorph.
Later on, okay, next. Indiana Jones does not go insane. Right. Because the skull wants him to return the skull to its pedestal. So the skull is a dick and made the other guy go insane.
I mean, yeah, but Indiana Jones is cooler, so, I mean...
Apparently, he just has a... So this is what they did give an explanation. Apparently, the other guy just has a weaker mind.
Yeah, he just has a weaker mind. You know, like Jedi mind tricks? Yeah, he would have been really susceptible to those. But, I mean, Indiana Jones is just like, 200 IQ.
Indiana Jones is like, Han Solo would not have been able to do that, but Indiana Jones, he's the next level, man.
Listen, all it is Indiana Jones' big brain, and then Oxley's small brain. That is also, the comparison.
How freaking Harrison Ford, for some reason, just actually tried to do a good performance, unlike the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Okay, so this is now the second film out of 2 films that we have seen, not only by Lucasfilm, but also that had Harrison Ford in it. And this film, at least it looks like Harrison Ford is trying. And I can't help but feel sad for him, because now they confirmed the fifth Indiana Jones film was already confirmed, but like a couple days ago they officially confirmed yes, this is happening. And Harrison Ford's coming back. He's gonna be 80 when the film is released.
So this is gonna so this one's gonna take place another 20 years later.
Yeah, it's gonna be Vietnam. Probably.
Okay, we gotta talk. Okay, so next, Indiana Jones decides that he will help the Russians, but Mr. Doormat over there is like, I ain't having this, and he freaking launches a table at them.
Yeah, and it just leaves.
And this entire scene just literally means nothing to the plot. I also forgot to mention that in that Spaniard scene, it's revealed that Mr. Doormat over there is afraid of scorpions.
Yeah.
Again, it literally one scene, one time, it's revealed they scare scorpions. But now, it's revealed that Indiana Jones is the father of this other guy.
Of Mr. Henry Jones
the doormat.
Also known as Mutt. Or Matt. As in doormat. Look at that.
But Indiana Jones and his former fiance, I forget her name.
Oh god. It starts with an M. I can't.
Let's just say it's Malin from freaking Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Malin. Mala from the Holiday Special.
It's Mala.
Mala.
Okay. Anyways, it's someone's probably gonna tell us in the comments.
Oh yeah, for sure. If we even get comments.
And anyways, they get stuck in sand, and Indiana Jones is like, "This isn't quicksand; it's dry sand." And for some reason, he just starts talking about it, despite the fact that he's gonna die.
Yeah,
he just
that's awesome.
and okay, and then like the Oswald guy is like, and he tells the Oswald guy to go get help. While
Oxley,
Doormat goes
Oxley.
he goes tells Oxley to go get help, and Doormat goes to find a rope.
He
This
does
scene-
find a rope.
He finds a snake, and we're reminded that Indiana Jones is terrified of snakes.
Yes.
And this scene, if you remove this scene, nothing would change because they get captured by the Russians again. They get captured by the Russians again.
Because Oxley's like, oh my gosh, there's people right over here. Help, help, help. And it's the Russians.
I can't discern why this scene is in the film, because if you took it out, nothing would change. They're still captured by the this film feels like a rough draft.
Well, that's because they didn't. I mean, they only had they started it. What was it like? I don't even know. They started making this. When did they start making this film?
I don't even know.
Probably no. They probably, knowing George Lucas, they probably started working on this right after the first one. Not after the first one, after the third one. And then it just took them 20 years to make. That's probably exactly what happened.
Alright, okay, so what happened after that? I just completely forgot the second act of this film.
Car chase, right?
Oh, it was car chase. That was the car chase. Okay, so the car chase.
The truck chase.
The main characters escape, and they go on this extremely boring car chase. It's boring.
It's a little boring.
It has bad CGI when Matt the Doormat goes Mutt the Doormat, whatever. He gets dragged up into the trees and he flies with monkeys for some reason. If you didn't watch the film, because it's coming off Netflix on December 31st,
you should go watch it right now.
It literally, some of the scenes just make no sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, this entire scene, Mac is there. I forgot to mention, he's just there, and he's like, Indy, remember what happened in freaking Berlin or whatever? I was a double agent there, which I'm like, I mentioned that before. And I was just remembering, if he hadn't mentioned that, he would not have been able to convince Indiana Jones that he was a double agent.
Yeah, probably.
But anyways, he convinces Indiana Jones to take him with them, and I'm like, okay.
Well, all right, cool.
He freaking, and then they get Ozymandias gets the skull back. But whatever. Okay. They get the skull back, but there's ants that freaking kill people.
Yeah, that was a cool scene actually. I mean, it was terrible, but
these random ants, they decided that the ants would have so much freaking fluid in them.
It just killed. That was funny. That was
the main evil villain, Mrs. Bobblehead, kills a bunch of ants.
You're right. I mean, it's really sad actually. I felt bad for the ants.
And then Mr. O over there saves Indiana Jones because he points the skull at the ants, despite the fact that ants don't have eyes. I don't think ants have eyes. It just do ants have eyes? I don't even know.
I think they do have eyes. I just don't think that.
But here's the thing: the ants go around them. I don't think that skull would really affect the ants because I don't think they're sentient.
I don't know. Maybe the ants are sentient. Are you? But whatever.
Indiana Jones fights this one guy. Really, very reminiscent of that scene from the first Indiana Jones.
Right.
Except instead of the guy getting decapitated, he gets eaten by ants.
I mean, like I said before, this reuses a lot of the tropes from the first couple films.
So then, he and Oz freaking guy.
Oxley.
Oxley. I don't even care at this point. Um, they get saved, and with Mac and the other guys.
Right.
Every character that we talked about at this point that's supposedly good is with them at this point.
Mm-hmm.
No one has died. None of the good guys will die for some reason.
Oh yeah, there's just they'll just keep
Anyways,
surviving.
next they freaking go down a bunch of waterfalls
And they're like,
and survive. Like how?
not only do they survive, but
No.
the first drop, none of them even leave the boat really. The second drop,
and
none of them really even leave the boat really, and then the third drop, they all just fall off immediately.
and then for some reason Malin is holding the steering wheel. We're talking about this film.
And she's just like,
By the way, for some reason, Oxley knew that there was a waterfall there. By the way, I figured out things before the main characters did, despite the fact that one of them is a freaking professor.
Well,
I figured out that Oxley was talking about 3 waterfalls before they even hit the first waterfall, and then Indiana Jones only figured out that there was 3 after they fell past 1.
he's like, wait, we fell down a waterfall. I wonder what's gonna happen next.
Anyways, Mac just leaves a bunch of tracking devices for the Russians.
Right, so that way they can follow him and there will be conflict.
And then they find out that they have to go through the waterfall to find the lost city of gold, or knowledge, or treasure.
Yeah, the lost city of brain power.
And then they go through it, and they fall down they basically get, there's a bunch of natives.
I guess, if that's what you want to call it.
They're not very portrayed very nicely.
No, they're not.
Oxley freaking shows them the skull, and they all just run away scared, like, oh my god, there's a skull.
Oh no, a dead person! They just start running.
And it's like, anyways, the plastic skull.
Yeah, the kingdom of the plastic skull.
And then they find this obelisk, and for some reason Oxley just didn't figure out they had to knock off a bunch of the pieces to make the obelisk fall. And they just do that. Like, there's no real explanation to anything that happens in this film.
I mean, especially the third act. The third act feels so rushed. I feel like the third act of every single Indiana Jones film just feels rushed.
But the first one just is a lot of fun because we watch a bunch of the villains' face melts.
Right. I mean, that's so awesome. I was like, wait, did I accidentally watch I don't even know. I thought I was watching Raiders of the Lost Ark until that scene. And I'm like, am I really watching this? Because I thought that it was it said a family film, and I'm like, I don't think this is family friendly.
Yeah, my sister, I watched it when I was much younger, and my sister freaking got scarred and wouldn't watch any of the other films.
Yeah, it's PG. I understand it would be PG-13 now, but I'm just saying I don't understand how it went under a family film.
Now we have to talk about the scene where Mac just starts stealing a bunch of artifacts for some reason, and then he turns on them.
Yeah, I was a triple agent. No, I was just lying about being a double agent.
Which essentially just means he was a triple agent.
Yes, I know. I literally paused the film. I'm like, that still means you're a triple agent.
Yeah. Anyways, then they find the Russian, because they couldn't use Germans in this film because Harrison Ford was too old to look like he was still from the 30s.
Right.
But anyways, the German lady put the skull back, and
it's not a German,
onto
it's a Russian
the
lady.
plastic skeleton.
It's a Russian lady. It's not even a German. She's Russian.
And then Oxley freaking goes sane again. No explanation reason.
Oh, Henry Jones.
He just saying again, and then all the skeletons in the room, because there were 13 skeletons and only one of them was missing a skull, so they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean,
and then we experience freaking bad xenomorph.
Right, and then we get the bad ending of Alien.
where freaking her face melts off because she got too much knowledge.
Her brain wasn't big enough.
No, her freaking head explodes. She her eyes get set on fire, and like this like what? Her brain just can't comprehend all this knowledge.
Even though it's probably
and then the very end of the film is like, it's revealed like, in Mayan, gold, there is no word for gold. Everyone just interpreted it as gold. It really means treasure, and the treasure is knowledge.
City of knowledge.
Also, we need to remember. We also need to remember that Indiana Jones met this kid who he didn't really know before, and it's like, okay, I'll trust you. I don't even know this lady that you're talking about. I forgot her name, but I'm still gonna follow you because I might have. I may know her, and then he's like, and then it's revealed that this Mac guy is like, and then he figures out that he works on bikes and he's quit school,
yeah.
and Indiana Jones is like, okay, that's pretty cool, and then after he figured out that dude that Matt's his son is like, you must school.
That's the first thought too. He was like, he has to go back and finish school.
Oh, and then everything, and then they all lived happily ever after, and then he gets married, and then it's teased
at like 65,
and then it's teased that Doormat's gonna be Indiana Jones, but we never got a second film because it performed poorly.
Oh yeah, by the way, he's literally not in Indiana Jones 5. Shia LaBeouf is not in Indiana Jones 5. So he's just not.
That was Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah, that was Shia LaBeouf.
I just kept calling him Doormat. You know, let's just say, like, theoretically, hypothetically, that,
Alright, I think that's gonna do it for the plot summary.
Yeah, now we need to talk about my favorite. I need to start talking about my favorite scene. I just freaking when you ever get zoomed in on Doormat's face, he just looks dead inside.
And then he like gets out a comb and just like starts brushing the back of his hair.
Yeah, even when he's at gunpoint, he starts brushing his hair.
He's like, "Oh, I gotta look good for my funeral photo." I don't know what he's trying to do.
I don't even know either. He definitely does not feel like he'd become Indiana Jones.
He doesn't become Indiana Jones. He's not in the film.
No,
so.
But it was teased that he was going to become Indiana Jones at the very end of the film. So it's like, he's going to be the next Indiana Jones. I'm like, how?
Yeah. Anyway.
He's not even that. He's an idiot. He's stupid.
Anyway, I think it's time. I don't know if you think it's time, but I believe it's time for us to give our rating of the film.
Yes, I give it a 4 out of 10.
I also give it a 4 out of 10. I feel like, for me, if you get a 5 out of 10 or higher, you've made a decent film. This is just a little bit less than a decent film.
What did it get on Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 70%, I think.
It doesn't deserve a 70.
They gave it fresh, yeah, if I remember correctly. It got like a 70, 77 or something.
It's too slow at some points and too fast at others.
I feel like this film was so close to being okay. Like respectable compared to the other ones. And it just kind of kept taking low points. And I'm just like, stop what you're doing. Stop. No aliens. Stop. No aliens.
It got a 78 and it got a 54.
For audience score. Yeah. But just about where it deserves to be. I just, again, this film could have been much better. I know there's going to be people who love this film. I know there's going to be people who hate this film. I'm somewhere in the middle. I just kind of feel like it didn't really need to be made. They kind of made it, and you're just kind of like, there's that film. I'm not going to be like, this is not canon. Because it is canon, I don't really care. But, it's borderline okay, or borderline, meh. I don't know. It's not a terrible film. It's not a terrible film.
Next week, we're going to be watching freaking Ghost Rider.
Yes, which is the Nicolas Cage one, right?
Yes, we're gonna watch a bunch of Nicolas Cage films because he has a tendency of getting into bad films.
I'll make a playlist called Nicolas Cage.
We're gonna watch a bunch of Nicolas Cage films because Nicolas Cage is just there.
I don't even know if is Nicolas Cage even like a good actor. I feel like he's a decent actor. He's just in bad films.
This I just want to see, will Ghost Rider get physics right or wrong?
I guess we'll have to see in the next episode. So tune in next week as we review Ghost Rider. I don't remember the year it was released in. And other than
I
that,
don't know, like freaking 2003.
yeah, it was early 2000s.
It came out. I know it came out pretty soon after the Spider-Man film, because a bunch of superhero films came out after Spider-Man, because people saw like that they could make money off of a superhero film.
And then after 2008,
we got the Daredevil film from 2003. We got the Catwoman film.
Yes! There's so many bad films that we can review out of that.
So many bad superhero films. We need to watch a bunch of. But there's one film I will refuse to watch. Well, there's two. Well, Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Batman vs Superman. Those are the two superhero films I refuse to watch.
Can we watch?
Because I watched them both before, and I hated them both.
Can we watch Batman and Robin?
Okay, yes, we can watch Batman and Robin, because that is a freaking blast.
Alright, make sure to comment down below any good or bad films we can review, because we will eventually do a couple of decent films. That way we won't die of bad films. We won't die of bad films. And then be sure to subscribe if you want to stay notified with all of our videos. You can go ahead and hit the bell. And be sure to leave a like if you did enjoy, and share with any of your friends and family. Anyway, that's gonna be it for the video.